Today we're talking about the patch notes for the Odyssey Underworld patch, which is the release patch of the new tier 5 skin. Yeah, you can actually get it. We'll get to that in a bit. We are not going to go too deep into the skins because we had the whole patch notes show for that. We're going to instead focus on the changes and the details of the new modes and everything. So here's a quick overview of them. We have a Chang'e skin, a Serqet skin, Neith skin, and a Artemis skin, which are all part of the Pirate Queen bundle. And then you also have the Chang'e special skin that you can get for the prestige rank. Then you have the convention skins. This is all part of the convention bundle. King Arthur, Nemean Lion Hercules, which I think is very cool with a Nemean Lion as his head. Splice Human Gander, and I think Galaxy Shaper Nox is in there as well, which looks really, really cool in game. Definitely check that one out. And then we have Temptress Aphrodite. I think that one's just an, Underworld Odyssey chest, yep. And we have Death Dragon Anubis as an Odyssey skin. Thanatos, which is really cool as well. That one will be the first Odyssey reward by leveling a few ranks of the Odyssey levels, basically. So an unlockable one, not a direct purchase one. And then we have Chilling Death Odin in the Odyssey. We have Snaky Chibi Medusa, which unfortunately doesn't have much of a chibi voice pack, but oh well. And we have Crime Boss Kuzenbo, absolutely fantastic one. Also, we have Stellar Demise, Baron Samedi Tier 5 that transforms. And Persephone gets some mastery skins. But yeah, just going over that very briefly. More of that in the patch notes live viewing. And here are the release dates for them very quick as well. We're going to also just briefly go over that. Here's the loot pack. Again, I showed you all the skins and that. You also get Ouroboros Global Emote, Cosmic Void Recall Skin, Galactic Title, Horus Announcer Pack, Set Announcer Pack, and Merlin Announcer Pack. The Odyssey Underworld returns, and this one is interesting. No, sorry, that's the wrong one, is it? Is it in here? Maybe it's in here? No, it's not in here. Okay, that's just the whole description of the Odyssey. But what is interesting about this one is that you can now buy the entire Odyssey on day one, and then you automatically get the tier 5 skin for Baron Samedi right away, and you also get all the skins right away. So you can, or you get all the skins of each patch right away. So you would get all the skins that are shown here that are part of the Odyssey that get released over the next weeks. You get them at once, and you get the tier 5 skin right away. And then when the next patch comes out, you get all the skins that get released on that patch. So you get them very quickly compared to everyone else. If you know you want to get that tier 5 skin, that's one way to do that. And if you have the gems right now, of course. And of course, you also still have the normal pathways here. You will have quests, 2 quests per week, 30 weeks in total, and 1 quest gives you 1 Odyssey point. It must be done in order, otherwise the next ones don't unlock, and all that jazz. So you still have the old option of doing a little bit of the Odyssey pass without actually buying anything, and I think apparently you can even reach Thanatoast like that, if I understood that right. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. I would say that at least the Kuzenbo skin is a must though, because he's got guns. But we are gonna look more into the fixes here and everything, and especially the balance changes. A bit of a T-pose fix for Arachne here. Artio's Spirit Guide, more important, has been not remodeled, but re-rigged, and had modeling animation adjustments to fix the jaw and the hind legs, and apparently the ears and tail as well. So that should hopefully look a lot better than last patch. We'll see how good it really looks, but I mean, it can't get much worse, am I right? Then Shadowbog has a fix for Into Darkness, where if you dash into a wall by chased by Persephone's plant, the icon over his head remains. Daji Paolau, if you take a running start and jump at Daji's pillar, then you jump straight through it. I fixed that. Okay, interesting. Never seen that. Okay, Pyromancer poking Argos out of aggro range for Hera. Okay, I think this is all relatively minor auto lift. This is actually hilarious. Or is fixed auto leveling turning off when firing phase 2 of updraft right as leveling happens. So yeah, some minor fixes related to Persephone's vines here, and To the Skies does not stack with Horus Ultimate Shield anymore, it seems. So I guess Pridwin doesn't stack with Horus Ultimate To the Skies shield anymore, which I guess means that Pridwin won't proc with his ultimate at all, similar to Nike, and you just don't get the shield, which is unfortunate. Guess that was a good combo before. Okay, some issues for Freya's and Persephone's interaction again. And oh, what? I didn't know that. Okay, fixed where if Capri is time delayed by Oleron specifically and uses ultimate on a teammate as they die, they get stuck in Capri for a short time after revival. Alright, so all of these here, Persephone stuff again, then Kukulkan's Winds of Change skin has a little bit of visual adjustments because he wasn't very visible with his abilities before. They were not very clear, and some audio adjustments as well, so you can hear them better, which is very important because the skin was actually annoying a lot of people. Persephone gets a fix an issue where she shouldn't be able to activate Purification Beads while rising from her passive. But she can use it afterwards, I'm not sure why. And she can still use Aegis, but whatever. It is what it is. There's some more details here regarding Morrigan as usual. And we're just going to scroll down here because this is just too much detail. Oh, Thoughts Ult almost used 120 mana. That's an issue. Okay, Project Olympus. Login screen. Add a keep me logged in option at login screen so players don't need to type in their name and password on each login. So it starts every 30 days. I'm not even sure how that happens. I guess if you don't use the Steam client, that's the thing. New streamer mode. Add a stream mode feature with the following option. Disabled does nothing. Hide others. You will not be able to other players' usernames in any way. Hide self. Other players will not be able to see your username in any way. Hide both. Hide others and self. And that one is fantastic. I think that's great. Prevents a lot of the sniping, harassment, and all that comes with it. So, yeah, absolutely good change. You can now find the redeem button easier, which is nice as well. And then there's some adjustments to the settings screen. There's a new design for that new layout, but PC users can still use drop-down menus. Thank goodness for that. And there's also a what's new screen that's kind of like summarizing the patch notes. And we have new play experience, new loading art for the tutorial, new updated updated new account creation UI, and flickering issue. Okay. Game modes. This is actually something that wasn't oh no, it is all just for Persephone. So Persephone gets her own arena. It's the corrupted arena, which many of you will remember, where basically parts of the floor are missing and you can get knocked down there and you die immediately, no matter how much HP you have. So this one is coming back, and other modes, other popular modes are going to be coming back as well. We don't know which ones exactly. We know Smite Racer is not among them, so life is meaningless. But this one is pretty cool, I think, because it gets some updates. So artistic changes to the map because it's now themed around Persephone with like vines and everything. New death pit areas near the center columns. New walking path behind the jungle camp walls. Small and medium rocks no longer fall onto the battleground. Large falling rock has its size and shape adjusted. Also, the bonus round is now included in this mode, and you can drop down to the sides, but not the back. There's walls at the back. And it's a 5v5 deathmatch after the game is ended. And you can actually buy things before that bonus round as well, which is cool. What's also cool is that there is a new relic. This relic is called Cruel Wind. The Cruel Wind relic will only be available in this mode. And I think this was actually found in the data mining in the context of Persephone, because it's like testing a new relic. Now we know it wasn't actually for Persephone, it was actually for Persephone's arena. This relic charges up and then fires a single target ranged projectile that will pass through targets, knocking back every target it hits. So like a multi-impale. This relic replaces Sundering Spear, therefore Sundering Spear cannot be purchased in this mode. Upgrading Cruel Wind causes it to apply a debuff to any target hit to take 20% more damage from all sources if they don't die from falling into the pit. So everyone's going to build this because it's just too fun not to, I think. Vanguard's Yermungandr cannot be knocked back, which spoils the spirit of the mode, I agree. And the Morrigan causes problems if she transformed into another god when the bonus round is beginning. Unfortunate. Morrigan could have been cool here. Stealth around and then use the relic to just push someone off. Oh, stealth gods are going to be so good now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like a redone mode of this. We'll see which other boats come back. See if Nike's thingo makes it back. The Capture the Flag one. Now, for the biggest one of this patch in terms of changes. Item balance. I'm going to read this one out. There's been a lot of discussion about the impact of the jungle role that the jungle hunt role has on a conquest game. Believe that junglers are an impactful class at all skill levels, even if the current SPL meta doesn't highlight that. It's a strange take of saying it's impactful at all levels, but hey. An important feature of a MOBA design is shared resource management. Only so much gold and XP exists on the map, and that has to be tactically split between each team. This results in certain roles becoming level spiked in the early game, and other classes have to take more of an investful late game approach. We believe that all classes should have a set of items that would allow them to work in either direction. Junglers tend to only succeed when they gain early advantage, so we're reworking an old item to be stronger, to be a stronger late game option for them. So what I briefly wanted to point out, and somebody mentioned this on Twitter and in my comments as well, this whole argument of saying, well, the SPL meta doesn't work with the shared resource management because they're just focusing on leveling other roles. It doesn't really make sense because the pro players focus on pushing other roles in terms of XP and getting them ahead because it's more beneficial, because they've tested this, because they've concluded that trying to push the jungler in the same way is not as efficient, is not as easy, is not as whatever. So that part doesn't really add up to me. I also think that in the current design, it's extremely easy for a jungler to fall behind in levels, even if you get multiple kills. You have to be super, super farm efficient, whereas others can literally just sit in their lane and they will get sufficient farm. Like, they will get more farm than the jungler, unless the jungler knows very well what they're doing and how they're pathing and still getting kills on the way. And that to me is a super questionable base situation. I think the issue with junglers is not in late game. I think the issue is in those stages where that's relevant. In late game, junglers actually catch up quite well, even in the SPL. So why this is focused on late game is something that is completely beyond me and makes me wonder who is looking at this and how. But anyways, I had to say this to preface this because this change is completely targeted at late game. Heartseeker is going to be completely reworked. The current Heartseeker, which is cheaper, is not going to be existing anymore, which was actually a very niche item that was useful for a certain set of characters, and it just won't be there. So, weird start. And now for this item itself. 2,900 gold, 75 physical power, okay, high number of physical power, 10 physical penetration, that's not high, that's standard pen, that's something you can get for way cheaper, 200 mana, whatever, 20 MP5, whatever. These stats are a bit of a relic. The mana and the MP5 is a bit of a relic from past times, not a SMITE relic. Because these stats were on the item before, right? Mana and MP5. Because it's now in the tree of mana and MP5. If it had movement speed, which it used to have, it would make a lot more sense. But these stats are stats that help you get to late game, that help you in your laning phase, in your roaming phase, because you can use your abilities more often. In late game, you will not need a bigger mana pool as an assassin. You will rarely need MP5 as an assassin. You could maybe justify this if you're building Transcendence as well, which makes this a niche item for Serqet. Bastet. And I think this is what's going to be. Maybe that's why Bastet didn't get changes this patch. But for most cards, these mana stats just don't make sense. And that's something I need to point out here first. And now for the passive. The passive is your abilities deal 3% of the target's maximum health as physical damage. 3%. If you have over 200 physical power, which you normally will in late game, your ability bonus damage scales up. This effect reaches a maximum of 6% maximum health and damage at 400 physical power. No, this passive works similarly to Soul Reaver. This effect can trigger one time per ability per god. This does not, however, have Soul Reaver's decreased damage on subsequent triggers. So get this. 3%, and if you have over 200 physical power, it starts scaling up. Now, let's say we have boots with 40 power, yeah? We have another item like, whatever, brawlers with 40 power. And then we have Heartseeker itself, which we would build in late game. So we're at 80 power and 155. And then we have another power option that's, say, 40 power again, which again, most items are not above 40 power. We have 4 items in We have 4 items in, and we have not reached over 200 power. So we need 5 items in most situations, unless we build like extremely high power items like Transcendence, Bloodforge, Erendite, those kind of items. Unless we're building those, we need we need 5 power items to even get above 200. And even if we build a super high power item, then we're like barely above it. Self buffs, I guess, are affected here. That could increase your power somehow, or any sort of buff that increases your power. That would be relevant. I'm actually not sure how many of those are in the game though. So I think Thor, for example, is one, right? So you will see 3% of most of the time. You see 3%, 4%, because usually at least one slot in assassin build still goes to a defensive item. Often one slot goes to a bruiser item as well. So you're rarely gonna see a full damage build unless, again, we're talking about someone like Bastet. And even she needs like Magi's Cloak or something sometimes. So we're talking 3%, and now I'm gonna skip over to the other items here, because look at this. This is Sais. This is an item that comes with 40 physical power, significantly less power, but it also costs 2,700 gold, 20% attack speed, which means overall DPS wise, this is very much a similar ballpark. We have this 10 pen and the mana on Heartseeker, but this item has 3% to 5%. And this is not dependent on your own damage or anything. This is on the enemy's health, which I think makes a lot more sense. The more health the enemy has, the more this scales up. Okay, I like that approach to try something different, but this is just something that's very logical. So a single shot, a single attack of Sais against a late game target with relatively high health, with maybe like 2,200 or more, will do the same damage as this ability bonus damage with Heartseeker here. And we also need to look at Soul Reaver in this context. Soul Reaver comes with a massive amount of power, 130. Of course, it's magical power, so you can kind of like double it, and it's fair. So okay, that you know, say it's like equivalent of 65 power. Also comes with 300 mana. Again, not the best stat, but a lot better for mages because you have other items that you can combine it with, which are a lot more useful in most cases. Book of Thoth is still pretty popular and stuff. And that starts as 2% of your target's maximum health, but scales up to 7%. Now the difference is this is magical damage. It has a reduction if you spam abilities in quicker than 3 seconds. This the gap, so, and this is something that Heartseeker doesn't have. So that might open some niche usage again, but it's magical damage, and this is physical damage. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's physical damage, and that means it doesn't really do that much. Like, physical protection is a lot easier to come by in SMITE than magical protection. It's very common to have that on most characters, especially tankier characters that also have to tank objectives and such. And you have higher base values than that, so the effect of this, even if we had the same percentage, will be lower. And I think you see where I'm getting here. I think this is not going to be a very strong item on most gods. I think there may be cases where this can just be abused, where you can like get malice and this, I don't know, and just have a really high amount of cooldown reduction, allowing you to spam certain abilities on certain assassins. But at the end of the day, I see this almost being more useful on specific hunters than I see it being useful on assassins, because like, I could see this like as an Ullr item or something. We don't even have a stand swapping assassin that would that would utilize 2 kits in that sense where this makes sense. Like, I wonder if you could break this with a god like Pele, for example. I wonder if you could just spam your 3, but that doesn't normally do item activation, so I don't think you can do that. And then you can use the 1 twice, but I guess, you know, maybe there are niche gods where this is going to be extremely strong because you can spam their abilities too much. Maybe it procs 3 times on Susanoo's 1. I don't know. But I don't see this being what anyone really wanted. I'm gonna test it more. I'm willing to be surprised here. I'm definitely curious as to what can be done with this item and how it feels to do that against a tank as well. Maybe like we're gonna brush super power builds and we're gonna, you know, try and do 24% maximum health damage to a tank. And you know, new tank busters are going to be assassins, which is already Thor, but but that's it. Maybe this is what replaces Titan's Bane entirely. forever, which is already kind of out for most assassins. Maybe that's where it's gonna fall. Maybe it's just the, the last item you want to have in your build when you're going against everyone. It just, to me, it's strange. To me, it's very strange. We'll see where this goes. Magic Cloak has a new visual effects, by the way. Looks nice. Guard balance. Amazon Cup. Beast no longer triggers any item effects. Good. I don't know why it ever did. It's a bit stupid that it could do that in the first place. So that bullying potential is gone. Also meaning he can't get Heartseeker procs that way. Stinger. Decreased base damage from 275 to 595 to 255 to 575. 20 flat reduction here. That's fair. He's been pretty good for a pretty long time. And the power scaling is decreased from 110% to 100% as well. I don't think anyone has any complaints about that, really. Amaterasu gets pretty significant buffs. Heavy Reflection increased base damage from 50 to 210 to 70 to 210, meaning a lot more early pressure, but the full charge damage, which is doubled, is increased from 100 to 140 at the start as well. So it still ends up 420, but the ranks before that are all increased. And the first rank and the second rank here, like having such a significant damage increase overall, I think that's going to be noticeable, giving her a fair bit more to work with in the early game. And Glorious Charge no longer roots Amaterasu during its pre-fire time, meaning that you should be able to chase a bit further with that, because you can like walk towards the enemy while doing that, which also actually increases Amaterasu's escape potential even more, which he already has a lot of. So I think Amaterasu is going to be very, very interesting. I like this. I just want to see if she can jungle now. And then we have Erlang Shen, 72 transformations, removed haste effect from the Mink form, and turtle base damage decreased from 75 to 275 to 65 to 235. I'm okay with this. I don't think he needed that haste effect. They moved the haste effect from other gods. I don't know why Erlang still had it. If you want haste, just build hastened. It's not that hard. I think we're going to see a lot less Mink usage though, because it doesn't really have much of an effect now compared to the turtle in most situations, unless you really want to buff someone. Fafnir, Endless Greed, increased maximum bonus protections from 20 to 25, which was reduced at some point in the past from 30 to 20, and that was apparently not noted anywhere. It wasn't communicated, but this part is communicated now as getting buffed. There was another change that's not listed here for some reason, where he now regains 200 mana when ulting into his dragon form. Not sure if that happened or not. It's not here right now, but I think those changes are fair. Goddess of Demonetization is getting a nerf, no surprise here. She's been very overwhelming. Decreased shield health from 90 to 250 to 70 to 210. Still surprising that they even kept that in my opinion, but we'll see what happens to that. And decreased slow from 30 to 20%. Probably need some more nerfs in the future from what we can tell right now, because shield for the whole team is still pretty good. All run. General increased his base power from 35 to 40, and Overflowing Divinity increased base damage from 35 to 95 to 40 to 100. Interesting, because this guy is someone that I think is already very strong in late game, but there were a lot of mage item changes, and that apparently affected him negatively as well. So he needs some buffs, it seems. Even though, again, like the item changes were actually good for late game. So I think this is a late game monster now, and Harris said they wanted him to be stronger early as well now. Which makes me wonder, like, why does he have to be strong throughout? But maybe he's just not quite there yet. We'll see. Persephone gets a ton of fixes, primarily, and balance is something they will look at in the future. I mean, at this point, people can't even decide if she's too weak or too strong yet, so yeah. General fix an issue, which she's not probably leveling up when using auto skill fix an issue, where her death animation displaying a skeleton at time was intended, when it was intended, and fixed Hades' name not capitalized in Persephone's lore. The Seeds, Pomegranate. Added a clear description to this ability specifying how it can be cancelled. You're welcome, guys. Fixed issues where Kali, Scylla, Achilles, and Thanatos were not properly getting their rewards for killing a god if this passive was used. All of those gods should now get those bonuses upon killing Persephone before she has the option to continue fighting with her passive. I tested some of these, and so for example, Scylla, Achilles didn't get the reset. I didn't know about Kali. I tested Thanatos as well, and he didn't get his healing, I think. So we will see what happens to that. But I have a video about the Persephone interactions coming up soon. So sub if you haven't yet, so you can check that out when it comes out. And there's some very interesting stuff, especially regarding the executes, that we should talk about. And also, Persephone will retain her health bar when entering the stage, so players can more easily keep track of her. So I guess you just gotta get grayed out or low health bar or something. Very good change. Harvest also adjusted plants materials to make distinguishing friendly and enemy plants even more clear. Also very good. Crest of Death fix an issue where enemies would sometimes not be affected by the bind CC even when hit by it. I tested some things regarding that as well. We have to find out if any of that is now changed or not. And fix an issue where Fafnir Dragon Breath could not break the entrapping cage. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. So that brings him on the same level as Jormungandr, I guess. Sun Wukong. The Monkey King returns on this update. And he's getting some buffs. Passive. Undefeated Body. Excuse me. I only had 5 hours of sleep before this. Undefeated Body. This effect now persists for 10 seconds after getting health above the threshold. This is very interesting because now you can ult, go back into a fight, and you still have this passive, for example. Or you just survive them when you're low, and then you can just maybe build less tanky or something. I don't know. And Master's Will increased base damage from 90 to 290 to 90 to 200 and it's to 310. A little bit of a buff here. Nothing too crazy, so we'll see how much that does. You know? I think Sun Wukong is an interesting character. We'll see where he's going with this. Sylvanas, also an interesting character. Wisps. Decrease cooldown from 18 to 16 seconds. Even after that, just recently got a buff. So yeah, apparently his issues are long cooldowns. That's why Nature's Grasp at the same time is getting a cooldown reduction as well. From 20 to 16 to 18 to 14 seconds. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a lot of pulls and a lot of fights. And that's a bit scary to me. But we'll see what it does for Sylvanas. I haven't seen all too much of him lately. If I've seen him anywhere, it was basically as damaged Sylvanas and solo or jungle or something. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him more. Morrigan, Changeling, decrease cooldown from 160 to 80 to 140 to 80. This is interesting because Morrigan usually rushes a lot of cooldown. Not just for the ultimate, of course, because her kit generally benefits a lot from multiple ability rotations because she only has 2 damaging abilities and all. But I think the ultimate is still a big part of it. And the initial cooldown being decreased means you might have to invest less into cooldown reduction. Maybe you just get away with the cool, like Mage's Blessing and cooldown boots or something. Or just cooldown boots into something else. And you don't really run like a super early max CDR because you're gonna hit this barrier where your cooldown is lower than the enemy's one, and then your ult's not gonna be reduced anyway anyways, which opens up the path for high damage Morrigan builds a little bit more Burst Morrigan. So I think this is very cool and very interesting. So we'll see if that turns out to be the way it is. And then we have Chang'e, who has been doing pretty well for himself. Demon Bag increased max cells from 40 to 60, decreased the magical power protections and physical power protection per stack from 0.8 to 0.5, meaning the maximum protections is now 30 instead of 32 apparently. And also Expose Evil increased cooldown from 10 to 12 seconds. I think especially the Demon Bag change is absolutely fair. And Expose Evil, that's going to hit him a little bit harder. We'll see how that turns out in the long run, but I'm fine with it. So yeah, that's it for these patch notes. I think some interesting changes there. I really want to see what happens with Heartseeker now. I'm not optimistic just yet, and everything else wasn't all that major. I think the skin, this patch was primarily more than anything else. It was a skin patch, but there's still some cool stuff. So yeah, I liked it. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit the sub button and maybe the bell. It helps me out. Other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out.